Along with Sittler, closing in. Sittler takes the pass, takes the shot, scores! And it's his first NHL goal, and there he goes and picks it up.
Well, I think there's nothing that Sittler doesn't do very well, exceptionally well. I mean, he checks, he hits, he's a strong face-off man, he scores umpteen goals, and consistently doing this well. And I think that he's not on that great a hockey team. I mean, he plays with some great people, but their team isn't nearly the team that our hockey team is either. So I think, in my own estimation, he probably was the top centerman in the league this year, but it can change every year. I mean, this year he probably was the top centerman in hockey.
In sports, sometimes the unthinkable does happen, and it happened to me.
I never thought he was going to score 10 points. That was amazing. And I don't think we realized till we got in the dressing afterwards.
Darryl Sittler did not just set records. He set records that nearly 50 years later, no one has come close to breaking. Not Wayne Gretzky, not Super Mario, not anyone. But he was not only a scorer. He was a fighter who feared no one, from the most dangerous enforcers in Philadelphia to the toughest rivals across the entire NHL. As his closest teammate Lanny McDonald once said, "Every time he stepped on the ice, you just knew something extraordinary was about to happen, and the opposition was completely powerless to stop it." So just how dangerous was Darryl Sittler? Let the legends tell you. It was February 7th, 1976. The Toronto Maple Leafs were struggling, 6 losses in their last 7 games. And if that was not enough pressure, team owner Harold Ballard had already gone to the newspapers to publicly humiliate his own captain, questioning whether Sittler deserved to be the #1 center on the roster. That night, the Boston Bruins came to Maple Leaf Gardens. Nobody knew what was coming. In the first period, Sittler was quiet but deliberate. 2 assists, setting up Lanny McDonald and Ian Turnbull. The engine was warming up. The second period was when everything changed. Sittler scored 3 goals and added 2 more assists. 5 points in a single period. By the third period, he had no intention of stopping. 3 more goals. The 10th point came on a shot that deflected off Boston defenseman Brad Park's leg and found the net, as if the universe itself had decided the night belonged to Sittler. Final score, Toronto Maple Leafs 11, Boston Bruins 4. Darryl Sittler had just recorded 10 points in 1 game, 6 goals and 4 assists, a mark that has stood untouched through more than 12,000 NHL games since. To understand just how unreachable that number is, consider this. Wayne Gretzky, the greatest scorer in hockey history, reached 8 points in a single game twice. Super Mario did the same 3 times. In the modern era, scoring 6 or 7 points in one night is already considered extraordinary. 10 remains a mountain no one has ever climbed. Boston goaltender Dave Reese, the man who stood in net through all 11 goals, was sent down to the minor leagues 2 days later and never played another NHL game. Sittler had not just broken a record. He had, without meaning to, ended a man's career in a single night. As Don Cherry, who was behind the Boston bench that evening, said years later on NBC Sports, "No one in the history of professional hockey, not Gordie Howe, not the Rocket, not Bobby Hull or Bobby Orr, could have done what Sittler did that night. It was the greatest individual performance I ever witnessed with my own eyes." And Dave Reese himself, as documented by the Hockey Hall of Fame, remembered it simply. "I can only blame myself for 2 of the goals. The rest were just zingers. Darryl that night was pure magic." In the 1970s, no team in the NHL was more feared than the Philadelphia Flyers. Bobby Clarke, Paul Holmgren, a lineup full of players who treated violence as a tactical weapon. Most elite scorers found ways to avoid direct confrontation with them. Sittler did the opposite. During the heated playoff series between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Philadelphia Flyers in the mid-1970s, Sittler repeatedly stood his ground against some of the most aggressive players in the game. When Paul Holmgren targeted him with deliberate elbows and cheap shots, Sittler did not skate away. He dropped his gloves and answered, every single time, earning Holmgren a fighting major and a game misconduct in the process. Then, on March 15, 1981, Sittler went directly at Bobby Clarke himself. The two exchanged slashing and spearing throughout the game in one of the ugliest confrontations of that era. Clark, a man who built his reputation on intimidation, could not shake Sittler loose. Bobby Clark admitted it years later, in 2024. Sittler was one of the hardest opponents I ever faced. He was never afraid, and he always found a way to hurt you, with goals or with his fists. Sittler himself put it simply: as captain, I could not ask anyone to fight if I was not willing to do it myself. So I did. After everything you have just seen, what do you think about him? Like the video and subscribe to support the channel. Stay with us. There is a surprising story still to come. If beating the Philadelphia Flyers once was difficult, doing it in the playoffs, on their home ice, while matching one of the most sacred records in hockey history, was something else entirely. On April 22, 1976, in Game 6 of the quarterfinals, Darryl Sittler scored 5 goals against the Flyers. In doing so, he tied the single-game playoff scoring record held by the Rocket, a name spoken in hockey circles with the same reverence as any legend the sport has ever produced. But the number alone does not tell the full story. This was the Broad Street Bullies at the height of their power. Every shift came with physical punishment. Every goal Sittler scored was answered with a slash, an elbow, or a hit designed to remind him where he was. He absorbed every single one and kept scoring. Philadelphia goaltender Bernie Parent, one of the greatest netminders of his generation, watched it unfold from inside the crease. The Leafs just rolled right over us. Darryl Sittler was everywhere. Every time he scored, his arm went up like a challenge. Lanny McDonald, who was on the ice beside him that night, said it best. Darryl played that game like a man possessed. He did not care how many times he got hit. He just wanted to put the puck in the net. By February 14, 1982, Darryl Sittler had just been traded to the Philadelphia Flyers, less than a month earlier. He was wearing a temporary number 9 jersey, still finding his footing in a new city and a new locker room. That night at the Spectrum, an 18-year-old rookie from the Los Angeles Kings named Doug Smith decided to make a name for himself by going after the veteran. It was a miscalculation. Sittler dropped his gloves without hesitation. What followed was not a back-and-forth exchange. It was a lesson. The experience and strength of a 15-year NHL veteran against a teenager trying to prove something. Smith came out on the losing end, leaving the ice covered in bruises. Sittler was never an enforcer by trade, but as journalist Jay Greenberg observed, Sittler did not come to Philadelphia to be a bully, but he carried too much pride and too much of a leader's instinct to allow any rookie or tough guy to push him around on the ice. In the 1979-80 season, the relationship between Darryl Sittler and Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Punch Imlach had collapsed into open warfare. Imlach wanted to break Sittler, but because Sittler held a no-trade clause in his contract, Imlach could not touch him directly. So he found another way. He traded Lanny McDonald, Sittler's closest friend on the team, to the Colorado Rockies. It was a calculated act of cruelty, designed to isolate the captain and force him into submission. It had the opposite effect. Sittler walked into the dressing room, picked up a pair of scissors belonging to the equipment staff, and cut the letter C, the captain's patch, straight off his own jersey. No shouting, no negotiation, just a single, irreversible act. He then announced his resignation as captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. In his resignation letter that year, Sittler wrote, "The day I became captain was the happiest day of my life, but the current situation has become intolerable." An anonymous teammate recalled the moment. "We saw a terrifying loneliness settle over Darryl. He sat in his stall, the cut jersey hanging behind him. He had made himself the enemy of management to protect our dignity." What made this the most quietly dangerous thing Sittler ever did was simple. He was willing to destroy his own position rather than betray the people beside him. In a league built on power and control, that kind of resolve is the most frightening thing of all. Darryl Sittler was dangerous not just because of what he could do with a stick. He was dangerous because, no matter what you threw at him, a losing streak, a dirty opponent, a betrayal from his own front office, he came back harder. The record still stands. The man behind it stood just as firm. Which NHL legend do you want us to cover next? Like the video and subscribe to support the channel. It means everything.